Hello everybody, Fun Rich here. I'm gonna do a response to Mazzy, one of Mazzy's videos. He did ranking the top 20 LA albums from the 70s. I'm not gonna rank them. I do have something from each decade, so I'm gonna kind of do them in chronological order. Now Mazzy, his ranking videos have kind of become a thing. And you know, I'm the one that encouraged him to do that. He was very reluctant to do ranking videos to begin with. And I encouraged him, no, go ahead and do it. I think the people will like it. And sure enough, Rich was right again. But does Mazzy give me any credit? Nope. The Rodney Danger from Bakersfield. Okay. Now, I said I'm not going to rank them, but this is definitely the best album from the 1970s, and it came out in 1970. And it's The Monkees' Changes. There's only 2 Monkees left. And quite honestly, this album is a turd. I'm just kidding. It's a turd, you know. I thought it would have been great if when Davy Jones did his solo album, he would have called it The Monkey, you know? I thought that would have been funny. Okay, now we're going to get into the real deal. 1970, we got The Mothers of Invention. Weasels Ripped My Flesh. I dig that back cover. This is a great album. It's got some weird stuff. It's got a Mama, what is that one? My Guitar Wants to Kill Your Mama. Kind of a bluesy, really heavy guitar number. But it's got Directly From My Heart to You, kind of like a soulful kind of song. And it's got some weird stuff in between. I really like that album. One of my favorite Doors albums is Morrison Hotel. Mazzy, he featured LA Woman. I think this is a superior album to LA Woman. This is a really gritty album, man. Now, a weird one, we got Tim Buckley. I think Mazzy also featured Tim Buckley, but it might have been the album that came out either before or after this one. This is Lorca. He started out like as a folk singer. This is more avant-garde and jazzy. It's got like jazzy pianos, and it's the bass is definitely a jazz type bass. But yeah, this is a really cool album. Side 1 has almost a 10-minute song and almost an 8-minute song. So they're really stretched out, but I really dig it. It's kind of weird. I bought this as a kid in the dollar bins, and this is the kind of stuff I was listening to, man. I probably drove my parents crazy. What the hell's wrong with my kids? I agree with Mazzy on this one. I think this is the first Neil Young album I ever bought, and it's still my favorite. After the Gold Rush came out in 1970. In a similar vein, I'm going to show this one. I remember Deja Vu by Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young. I remember the first time I heard this, and my friend Mike put it on, and the very first song is Carry On, is it? Yeah, Carry On. Carry On. And I told him, man, this is choir music. You know, I didn't, the very first impression, I didn't like it. Now, I must say, back then, I did not like the Graham Nash songs. Teach Your Children and Our House. I mean, I kind of like them now. They're poppy. But my favorites still are the rockier numbers, you know. Almost Cut My Hair, Woodstock. And the Neil Young numbers are good. And the final one from 1970 is one that Mazzy also showed, and it's The Byrds, Untitled. This is a double album. The first album is live. The second album is studio. Now, I think the Byrds would have been better served if they would have just released the single studio album. And then maybe after that, release a separate live album. But yeah, the studio stuff is really good. The live stuff is good, but I think the studio, it would have been better just like an album on its own. And I would have ranked out, if it was just that, I would have ranked it up there with Ballad of Easy Rider, you know. Okay, now we're talking 1971. And I'm going to go with Michael Nesmith and the First National Band. This is Nevada Rider, is it? Yeah, no, Nevada Fighter. He had 3 albums with similar covers, a red, a blue, and a white. And I think this is, I like them all, but this is probably the one I like the best. And I like the album he came out right after this. And the hits keep rolling out, or something like that. The hits keep coming. And he was being kind of sarcastic because the label was pressuring him. Hey, we want some hit singles, you know. And that one is just Michael Nesmith and that Red Rhodes guy, the steel guitar player. Just those two, nothing else. But I decided I would show this one. Another album from 1971 is Donald Byrd, Ethiopian Nights. Great LA jazz album. Yeah, I dig this album, man. You got side 1 is The Emperor. It's like a 15-minute, 40-second jam. And then it's got this 4-minute song called Jamie afterwards. And it's just it's so cool, man. Maybe the best album. In fact, I rated it the best album of 1971. And it's Joni Mitchell's Blue. When I was doing top 10 albums, I think I did 1965 to 1985. And this was my #1 album for 71, Blue. I think it's my favorite of hers. I like her Raja probably almost as much. But yeah, this is great. And even has a song, California, on it. 72, we got Captain Beefheart and the Spotlight Kid. This is, he came out with 2 albums in 72, and I like them both. They're up there they're in my top 3 Captain Beefheart albums. It was the Spotlight Kid and Clear Spot. Clear Spot was a little more commercial, so I think Clear Spot would be a better jumping on point. This is a little bit weirder, but it is still, it's not like the crazy stuff like Trout Mask Replica at all. But yeah, it starts out with I'm Gonna Booglerize You, Baby. And it just, side 1, starting out with that and then ending with the Alice in Blunderland, the instrumental. Fantastic. And one more from 72 is War. The World is a Ghetto. Fantastic LA band. I believe they recorded a lot of their stuff in Long Beach, but they're that, LA County. Great shot of the band. The album that preceded this, I think, was their best up to that point. But this one, I think, topped that. Now we're in 73. Another band that Mazzy featured, and it's Little Feat. I picked this one. I kind of prefer this one, Dixie Chicken. It's got like a southern feel, but this is a really funky. This one has a really funky feel to it, and that's why I kind of prefer this. I almost picked their first album. I really dig that one. That album is kind of, it's not as funky, but it's real kind of jagged. I don't know. It's not a normal rock album at all. It just, I don't know. They're very good band, man. And this is a band that I didn't really know about back then. I mean, I might have seen the album because I didn't listen to any of them. First time I saw these guys or heard them was on that BBC show, Reeling in the Years or whatever and they were on there and oh my God, these guys are great. And one more for 73, we got Weather Report and Sweet Nighter. It's either between this one and the Mysterious Traveler, the one that came out in 74. But I went with this one. Great album, man. Just a great band. They didn't do a lot of solos, Everything that each member did was for the good of the whole, Kind of like the LA Dodgers. 74. Now, 74 was Mazzy's big year. I only have one from 74. My big years, it turns out, were 1970, 76, and 79. But my one from 74 is Quincy Jones and Body Heat. This is a funky, jazzy album. It's all instrumental. It's a really good album, man. I remember we were in South LA and we were at one of my girlfriend's cousin's house, and she played this. And I go, oh, that's great, you know, because at the time in '74, I was into Herbie Hancock, I was into Miles Davis, and yeah, this was really great. And what a lot of people, when they think of the LA sound, they think of the Eagles, and they think of, you know, that California acoustic, mellow, laid-back sound. But there was a really big soul sound coming out of LA. I mean, Motown moved to LA. There was a record label called Solar, the Sounds of LA, something like records. Yeah, the Sounds of LA Records. And they had bands like Lakeside were on there, Shalimar. You know, these are all, you know, soul bands coming out of LA. Now, I have some of those two bands, but I only have their 80s stuff. But anyways, 74, Quincy Jones is representing. 75, I only got one for them, for 75, and it's Tom Waits. It's Nighthawks at the Diner. Now, this plays like a live album. He is playing in front of a crowd, a small crowd, in a recording studio. So I included this one. And I wanted to include Tom Waits. And this is the only Tom Waits I have. I think I got rid of all my others. That voice, I don't know. I can't. But I like this album. And I think it was recorded on 4 different sessions or 4 different nights. And it was like a discreet crowd. It was, you know, the invited crowd only, you know. It was like the Mazzy crowd, you know. They wouldn't have invited Rich. But anyways, this is a cool album. A lot of talking and dialogue. And he does that. His dialogue is funny. 76, another one that I have a number for. I'm going to start off with the Runaways. This is it's a good rocker. Kind of bubblegummy, if you want to get really honest about it at times. I mean, very simple, you know. Now, when I first moved to LA, it was in 76, and I got a job at the key shop in Hollywood on Sears Key Shop on Santa Monica Boulevard. And the guy I worked with, man, he was telling me about this band, the Runaways, that he saw at the Whiskey, you know. He kept talking about them. So, I don't know, one weekend I told my girlfriend, hey, let's go to the Whiskey and just check it out. The Runaways weren't playing, but it was Blondie and Tom Petty opened up. But anyways, yeah, 76, Runaways. We got Earth, Wind, and Fire, Spirit. They had, I was going to show one of their earlier ones. Their earlier ones are a little more gritty, not quite as polished as this. But this is the one that totally exploded for them. I think the album preceding this, they had a decent hit with. It's a white cover and it has just a close-up of the band. But yeah, I like this album. This is very well produced. And this is the out. When I started getting into punk, my girlfriend goes, I don't understand how you can like this and also like that crappy punk stuff, you know? The Brothers Johnson, looking out for number 1. This is a great funky album. LA. Dudes both from LA. Mazzy showed one by Jackson Browne. But for me, this is my favorite Jackson Browne album by far. I think this is a great album. The Pretender. Just really good songs. And every time I hear Linda Paloma, it brings tears to my eyes. You might think I'm kidding, but actually I'm not. And finally, we're going to end it with Marvin Gaye, I Want You. One of the Motown artists that started recording in LA. Now, Stevie Wonder, I was looking into him, and he was doing his recording in New York. But yeah, this is a great album. This is probably my favorite Marvin Gaye album. 1977, I only have one. And it's Linda Ronstadt. I got rid of all my Linda Ronstadts, the 70s ones, except for this. And I think I have 2 from the 80s. But I kept this one, man, because of Blue Bayou. Man, that is some singing on that song. I mean, side 1 starts out with It's So Easy. And it's the LA sound. that I don't like. I'm not really a fan of that song. But she follows it up with Carmelita, the Warren Zevon song, and it's fantastic. Carmelita it's the it's the song that Gigi Allen made famous. And yeah, she does two Warren Zevon songs, and they're both the second song on each side. The second song on side 2 is Poor, Poor, Pitiful Me. Now 78, I think I only have one, and it's Los Lobos' first album. Just another band from East LA. It's all Spanish mariachi music, fantastic stuff. I found out about this band because they opened, or they played right before the Plugs came on, and then after that it was Public Image. It was Johnny Rotten's first appearance in Los Angeles. But anyways, great album. Now we're into my 79s, and we're going to start it off with Electrify Me by the Plugs. Just a great album. I don't believe this album has ever officially been released. There are some bootlegs out there that I hear are pretty good. But yeah, it's worth getting. Really, really good. Another this is one of the earliest LA punk bands, and it's Black Randy and the Metro Squad. And it's got, like, this guy here, Joe Naomi, or whatever, however, he became the drummer of Wall of Voodoo. This guy here was the guitar player for The Eyes, which Charlotte Chaffee, she was the bass player in The Eyes, and she became the guitar player for the Go-Go's. I was going to show Go-Go's, but their first album came out in 1980. Although I saw them many times in the 70s. And another one is X. Their first album didn't come out till 1980, though I saw them many times in the 70s. And Wall of Voodoo. I saw them many times in the 70s, and their first album came out in the 80s. Anyways, we're getting off topic. This is some really quirky songs, but then some really funky stuff. So yeah, it's a really cool album. This band had 2 albums out in 1979. The Incredible Shrinking Dickies and Dawn of the Dickies. I kind of like the other one more, but they're pretty similar. And so I thought I'd show this one. I don't think I've ever shown this record. It's a really cool album cover, you know. These zombies coming after the Dickies. And it's got some really great songs on here, man. Where Did His Eye Go? That's funny. Nights in White Satin. I don't know. Every Attack of the Mole Man is an instrumental they're famous for. We got Donna Summer, Bad Girls, recorded in L.A. Now, her albums that were preceded this, they were all recorded in Munich, Germany, with that Murata guy, whatever. But yeah, this one was recorded in LA, and this one, she had some big hits with Hot Stuff and Bad Girls. I don't know if this one's going to stay in the collection, to be quite honest. I haven't listened to it. I will listen to it. But yeah, I really loved this album at the time. And finally, the last album, I think it's the best album. It was my #1 album from 1979. It's the best thing that Joan Jett ever did. And she produced this. It's G.I. by the Germs. Just a fantastic, the first American hardcore album, you could argue. You got Pat Smear, who went on to play with Nirvana, went on to, maybe still plays with Foo Fighters on and off. Yeah. Darby, who passed away, I think the same day as John Lennon. Well, he didn't pass away, he OD'd. Committed suicide, I don't know. And then Lorna, who recently passed away, I think from cancer. And Don Bowles, I think he's the only one left. And he was one of the greatest drummers in the LA punk scene. He went on to play with 45 Grave, and his drumming in 45 Grave is awesome. And he also gets credit for introducing heroin to the punk scene in LA. All right, that's it. Hope you enjoyed this. I didn't mean to pick on Mazzy too much, but I'm gonna make this picking on Mazzy video. You know, because Mazzy, he copied me, the use of the word wanker. I did that way before Mazzy ever made videos. Mazzy copied me in praising Wildlife as being one of Paul's great albums. And I'm going to leave a link in the description to this album, or this video. And I'm going to have a contest. It's the Picking on Mazzy contest. And I'm going to, I'm going to make it US only. The last couple of contests I've had, people in Europe won, and it's, the shipping is more than what the... Anyways, it's going to be US only. I'm sorry. And all you have to do to enter the contest, there's two things. You cannot mention the contest in the comments of this video. I don't want anybody to know about this contest unless they watch this whole video. I don't want just any old whack job entering my contest. I want people that actually watch my videos. And all you have to do is go to the video that I'm going to leave a link to and leave a comment in that video, picking on Mazzy. Picking on Mazzy. And if you watch that video, you'll see I use the word wanker, and I praise the record Wildlife before Mazzy ever made a video, I mean, people say, this is a beautiful community, but there's a little bit of competition, And when Mazzy came along, me and him, we're buddies. I like Mazzy. And, there's a little bit of fun competition there, But Mazzy kicked my ass. I mean, to be quite frankly, he blew up. And good for him. Take care, everybody. Enter the contest. It'll be good prizes for everyone. Oh, and I'm if I get 5,000 views on this, I might do a Best LA 80s. I think LA blew up in the 80s, man. Take care.